Hello class, today is day 4 of solving multi-step equations. So in this particular video, all I'm going to do is go over a few things and then work on the assignment, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we got to remember, the reason why we're doing all of this is because the state of Texas says that we need to model and solve one variable equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. And we've got to do it with mathematical and real-world problems using rational number coefficients. And that's kind of the crux of everything. It doesn't matter what type of numbers you have, you've got to be able to work those problems. So we started off with questions like this. And this is just a normal everyday solving two-step or multi-step equations. First thing we look at is we've got a subtraction here that we need to take care of. And again, the only reason why we do that is to prevent careless mistakes and to allow us to rearrange some things, especially if I have a whole bunch of stuff in the problem. And then all we have to do once we do this is we follow 3 basic steps. Get your letters on one side. How do I do that? I add the opposite. Get the numbers on the other side. How do I do that? I add the opposite. And then we solve. So real quick, let's just kind of look at this one, and then we'll talk about a few more things, and then I'll give you your assignment. Okay, so in this particular one right here, I need to move this negative 2x over to be with the 3x. So I start at the equal sign. Since I'm moving something from the right side to the left side, I have to start on the right side. So negative 2x plus, and then the thing to move that is positive 2x. I add the opposite, and then plus negative 7. Then I come over to the left-hand side, and I write 3x plus 8. I write that entire expression down, plus, and then I add the new thing that I added on the right-hand side, which is the 2x. Then I combine like terms. I put things that are together that are alike. So this 3x and this 2x can go together to make a 5x. The 8 comes along for the ride because I haven't done anything with that, equals. My 2x's go away, and I'm left with negative 7. So now I need to move the number over to the other side. So we do that the same exact way. 5x plus 8 plus negative 8 equals negative 7 plus the negative 8. So my 8's go away, and I'm left with 5x equals, and negative 7 plus negative 8 gives me negative 15. Now how do I get rid of a multiply by 5? I do a divide by 5. And I end up with x is equal to negative 3. And like we did yesterday, you could take that negative 3 and plug it into this x, do the math on this side. Plug it into this x, do the math on this side. If those two values are equal when I plug that in, then I know that's the right answer. If they are not equal when I plug it in, then that means I probably did something wrong along the way, and more than likely it's lost a negative. Okay, so that is our basic structure for solving algebraic equations. And that is our framework. That is our foundation. These 3 steps. Everything else we do, we just add above it. And it's things that I do in what I call pre-work. Okay, so the cases that we talked about yesterday, first one was like this. 9w plus 3 is equal to 9w plus 7. So the first sign that something's going to be strange in this problem is the fact that our 9w's are the same on both sides. So when you solve that one, you end up getting something like this. Okay, your 9w's on both sides go away, and you're left with 3 equals 7. And what we need to remember about a problem like this is if the variables in an equation are eliminated and the resulting statement is false, the equation has no solution. So how do I finish out the problem? Well, if you remember from yesterday, what we do is we take and cross out the equal sign because that means not equal now. So we get 3 is not equal to 7, and you write no solution. Because what that means is there's not a number I can plug into that W to make this a true statement. Okay, and that's what we have to do. Well, the next situation that we had was something like this. Well, the first thing we would do in something like this is some pre-work. If there's anything that I can put together, you got to put it together, like the 3 and the 4. So we'd put that together. And when you do, you end up with a situation like this. I put the 3 and the 4 together, and I end up with 5m plus 7 equals 5m plus 7. Again, kind of the telltale sign is that my 5m's are the same, so I know something's going to go on in this problem. Okay, now in this particular one, when I solve it down, I end up with 7 equals 7. So what happens when we have a true statement? Well, it says if the variables are eliminated in an equation and the resulting statement is true, then the equation has a solution of all real numbers. So to finish this one out, 7 equals 7, you just write all real numbers, because every number I put into M will work. Okay, and we'll make that a true statement. So those were two of the instances that were kind of crazy. Now the third instance that we had was something like this, where there's just a lot of pre-work that you have to do. And you got to remember, anytime you see minuses, what I like to do, just strictly because it prevents making careless mistakes, is I like to change my subtraction to addition next to its opposite. And I do that everywhere I see it. And then the next thing that we do is we try to put things together. So in this problem, like we did yesterday, my 10z and my 4z, my negative 4z could go together. My 8 and my negative 15 could go together. And then once I do that, I end up with a normal, regular problem, and you solve it. The other instance that we would have would be something like this, where we have fractions. And so this is what we're talking about by that rational number coefficients and rational constants. Just because there's fractions up there doesn't mean you do anything different. You solve them exactly the same way. You first get the letters over on the other side, or get them together on one side. Then you get the numbers together on the other side, and then you solve. And 9 times out of 10, when they give you fractions like this, it's set up so that the problem will end up being easy if you just continue working with fractions. And that's all we have to do. Okay, so what you're going to do, inside Google Classroom, you're going to see an assignment. So those of you that are watching this video, what you're going to do is you're going to do just like every other assignment. Turn to the next clean page, and you're going to work all the problems. Now there is one different type of problem that I do want to kind of look at real fast. Okay, so let me bring up where am I going? Okay, let me add a page real quick. And there is one thing that I want to, and I can't find what I want. Okay, we'll just do it right here. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. Erase this line right here. Now what if I gave you a problem that looked like this? 7x plus 3 equals 4x. What if I gave you something that looked like that? Okay, now if I gave you one that looks like this, you'll notice that I've got 2 letters, but I only have 1 number. So when you think about something like this, and we're talking about get our letters on one side, get our numbers on the other side, well, I've only got 1 number, and that 1 number is over here on the left-hand side already. So that means my numbers are already together. So that means the step 2 of all the steps that we have is over there. So all I really have to do then is move this 7x to be with the 4x. So you've got to kind of think about what side do I want things on. So if I were to move this 4x over to be with the 7x like we normally do, then I'm going to have nothing left over here. Okay, and that's where we get confused. So if I've already got my numbers together over here on the left, then I just need to move my letters over to the right. And so we would do that by doing 7x plus negative 7x plus 3 equals 4x plus x, just like that. Okay, so then my 7x's go away. I'm left with 3 equals. And now on this side, I've got 4x plus negative 7x, which is just negative 3x. Now at this point, if you want to flip that, you can. Okay, and that's perfectly fine if you do so. Or you can just divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. 3 divided by negative 3 gives me negative 1. These 3's divide out, and we're left with just x. So sometimes in an equation, part of the problem's already done for you. And you've got to be smart enough to be able to recognize what's going on. So not every single time are we going to always move the letters over to the left and the numbers over to the right. Sometimes things will be done for you. Okay, and on that assignment, you may have to look at that. So back to the assignment. You're going to turn to the next clean page in your journal, and you're going to write the problem down. You're going to solve it, circle your final answer, and then attach it to the assignment in Google Classroom. This assignment will be due on Tuesday, the same day that you're going to have your test. So please make sure that you know how to do these questions, because you will see these again on the test review on Monday and on the test on Tuesday. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.